Timofey Mozgov was a modern European NBA success story. Few players have come over from Europe and reached the highs that he did on and off the basketball court. He won a ring alongside LeBron James, and he got paid from the LA Lakers. But just as quickly as his rise was in the NBA, that's how fast his fall was too. After getting paid, we started to see less and less of Mozgov, to the point that now he is out of the NBA altogether. In this video, we're going to talk about what caused a modern European success story to really be a victim of the modern NBA, how his career fell apart so quickly, and where Mozgov is now. We're trying to get 64 likes for the millions he got from the Lakers. And if you do like this video, please subscribe, because we're trying to grow this channel and provide high quality NBA content for all of us who are obsessed with the NBA. It all started for Timofey Mozgov when he turned pro in his home country of Russia at 18 years old. Eventually, he landed with Khimki Moscow, becoming a standout in the Russian league. Really, what made him a standout on global scouting circles was the 2009 EuroLeague, where Mozgov averaged 11 points and 4.6 rebounds per game. After that, NBA scouts pounced, and the New York Knicks were able to sign a 24-year-old Mozgov. In 2010, he signed a 3-year deal for $9.7 million. He rode the bench for a lot of his time early on there in the first year for Coach Mike D'Antoni, but when he finally got big minutes, he made them count. You don't need high-quality video to know how much the fans at the Garden loved Mozgov.
And out the fans chanting Mozgov.
They chanted his name after a 23-point, 10-rebound performance. Now, Mozgov continued to progress, so much so that he became one of the key pieces in a trade that would change both the Denver Nuggets and New York Knicks forever. In 2011, he was one of the pieces traded for Carmelo Anthony. That progression that Mozgov showed continued in Denver. He proved to be a down-low banger, an athletic center who could finish well at the rim. The pinnacle of that as a Nugget was against the Golden State Warriors, when Mozgov finished with 23 points and 29 rebounds, both still career highs.
A lot of rebounds just come into my hands. Some night is like that, so it's just a good night.
His international career continued to take off. In 2012, Mozgov won bronze at the Summer Olympics with Russia.
Something amazing. This is a bronze medal. It's unbelievable.
And at 29 years old, his career was about to take an even bigger jump. He was traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers alongside LeBron James as his starting center in LeBron's return to Cleveland.
Opponents shiver in their sneakers at the sheer sight of Mozgov in his winter hat.
It turns out that team was poised to make a finals run, and in 2015, Mozgov was a key piece, so much so that he started all 6 games for the Cavaliers, eventually losing to the Golden State Warriors. But the fact that he just made it to the finals was a big deal, because Mozgov became the first ever Russian-born player to play in an NBA Finals. At this time, Mozgov really was on the radar of every single basketball fan in the entire world. Everyone knew who Timofey Mozgov was, and although the peak was to come in 2016, winning a championship with the Cleveland Cavaliers, you could start to see cracks in his NBA career. Instead of starting every game like he had the year before in that loss in the finals to the Golden State Warriors, in 2016, he came off the bench. In fact, he only averaged 6 minutes a game in the finals. The reason for this was the evolution of the NBA center. Just the year before, we saw the Golden State Warriors play with their small ball death lineup. Draymond Green at center. More and more, young guys were beginning to be drafted that brought in a new generation of the center position in the NBA. Guys like Karl-Anthony Towns, Kristaps Porzingis, Joel Embiid were no longer those bangers down low in the old school version of the center in the NBA. They were guys who could stretch the floor and really shoot. Still though, Mozgov became the first Russian to ever win an NBA championship alongside a teammate there on the Cavs who was also from Russia.
Here we go, Mozgov, 2016 champion, Mother Russia! Mother Russia, boy!
And after that, as a free agent, he signed a $64 million 4-year deal with the LA Lakers. While things couldn't get much better for Timofey Mozgov, his legacy, his history in the game, especially for Russian or European-born players, and his bank account, the outside world was baffled. His signing with the LA Lakers in the summer of 2016 was one of the most criticized signings, not just in the NBA that summer, but in NBA history, because it was clear at the time that the NBA was starting to evolve at that center position to everyone except for apparently Jim Buss, who was running basketball operations for the Lakers at the time, and GM Mitch Kupchak. Kupchak somehow missed the boat and couldn't see what was happening to the NBA by signing Timofey Mozgov to be his starting center. He averaged just 7.4 points per game, little under 5 rebounds, and under a block in that first year. It turned out, yes, he was a plodding, slow center in a new fast-paced NBA. He couldn't switch on defense, which more and more elite teams were starting to do all the time, like the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors, and Mozgov was beginning to be left behind. The numbers showed it too. The year before he signed with LA, he was 98th in pace. That made him the 205th slowest player in the NBA. And if you're thinking, well, being slow may be just a function of the fact that he plays center, consider that he was 75th out of 76 centers in real plus minus and posted a below average player efficiency rating after off-season knee surgery. And that knee began to also be a theme of the downfall of Timofey Mozgov. 54 games into that first year with the Lakers, he was benched. LA wanted to see what they had in upcoming center Ivica Zubac. While that started the end of his time with the Lakers, it was the beginning of a theme we started to see with Mozgov. He would use the media to express how unhappy he was. After his benching, he said, quote, "The coach told me about it before the game. It was a big surprise for me. Honestly, it was a surprise to everyone, even Coach Walton. I still don't understand what motivated the management to make such a decision. I did not try to find out the details. They don't want to put me in, so I don't want to also." Eventually, the Lakers admitted their mistake and moved on from Mozgov, trading him to the Brooklyn Nets. But in order to convince the Nets to take that giant Mozgov contract, they had to attach D'Angelo Russell, which at the time didn't seem like that big of a deal, but of course proved to be a huge deal, because Russell evolved into an all-star caliber point guard who can carry a franchise. Mozgov's short time with the Brooklyn Nets was kind of an exact repeat of what happened to him with the Lakers. He started the year as their starting center around a young core, but eventually was benched mid-season. At the time though, again, Mozgov couldn't seem to accept what was happening to him in his NBA career. He told the media, "The breaking point came quite unexpectedly. The coach just said, this is the situation we have. There were no transitional periods, just like this. Bang." So according to Mozgov, it just came unexpectedly out of the blue. But the truth was that Mozgov could not effectively develop his game. The Nets, no doubt, when they traded for him, had some hope that maybe he could turn into the next Brook Lopez. Lopez left for LA in that trade to get Mozgov and D'Angelo Russell. But while he was with the Nets, he really evolved from a old school NBA center to a modern guy who could really shoot the lights out, especially from three. We've seen Lopez continue that with the Milwaukee Bucks. But Mozgov could not evolve his game to a Brook Lopez level, and of course he had that lingering knee issue. The low point for Mozgov was another trade, this time in July of 2018, for the rights to Hamidou Diallo, a second-round pick and cash considerations. The very next day, he was traded to the Orlando Magic, where he never played a game. Eventually, Mozgov had an arthroscopic knee surgery in January of 2019, and he was waived by the Magic in July of 2019. Again, he took to the media, this time not to criticize his team, but to criticize team doctors. Mozgov said, quote, "I don't want to make any wrongful accusations in regard to American doctors, but their treatment of my injury was not quite correct. It seems at the moment that they have been treating me based on a wrong diagnosis. Nothing terrible has happened, but the injury is aggravated as time went by." Mozgov was out of work for a while until eventually he returned to his home country of Russia and to the club he came up with in Khimki Moscow. Remember that quote when he said, "Nothing terrible has happened"? It may have, because at this point, Mozgov has still not played a game for Khimki despite the Russian season being 44 games in. And this summer he had eyes to play for Russia in the World Cup, but he couldn't do that either. Eventually, the reality is, not only is Mozgov's NBA career over, his pro basketball career might be over too. One day at 33 years old, he could see that and eventually announce his retirement. What happened to Mozgov is what happened to a lot of old school NBA centers. Guys like Al Jefferson got pushed out as the game evolved. But of course, we don't feel too bad for Timofey Mozgov, even though he sat on an NBA bench with his knee hurt while the NBA left him behind at that center position because he was able to get to the league and produce before the evolution of the game so he could really get paid and become an NBA champion.
Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a weekly NBA video.